Without going into specific figures, let me just say that the European Union is in an enviable position in the Doha round. It's in an enviable position because it's already reformed its agriculture. In fact, what Europe is cashing in the Doha round of trade negotiations is the reform that it has already completed of the Common Agricultural Policy. And therefore, Europe is in a position that many other WTO members would have loved to be in today. Unfortunately, some of our members, since the Uruguay round, between the Uruguay round and now, have gone in the opposite direction to the EU. Rather than reforming their agriculture, they have actually increased their subsidies, or they have raised their tariffs, for example. And it is now incumbent upon them through the Doha round to make serious sacrifices and to reduce those tariffs and subsidies. For the European Union, the job is already done. Therefore, this is a negotiating chip in the hand of the European Union that it is using very successfully to ask for concessions from its trading partners in other sectors of the negotiation. Would it be this year? Well, let me answer that question in terms of a hope. Yes, I certainly hope that it will be this year. I think it would be very difficult to keep the Doha round alive next year, and I think that our members realize the urgency, and that is precisely why the G20 has called for the conclusion of the round this year. The consequences for developing countries of the conclusion of the round. The consequences are tremendous. The developing world has been the leader in the Doha round. This is why the Doha round has as its official name the Doha Development Agenda. It's a development agenda because agriculture, which was the subject of today's meeting, is also at the forefront of the negotiating agenda. The developing world has said we are very competitive in agriculture, and it is time that the rules of the World Trade Organization give us a fair chance, level the playing field for our agricultural exports. So the agricultural negotiations are the engine of the round. They will reduce rich world subsidies that have crowded out developing world agriculture. They will reduce tariffs in both the rich world and in the developing world. And through a whole new set of rules, they will bring greater transparency and predictability to agricultural trade. Now, the developing world will benefit from many other sectors of the negotiation as well, such as trade facilitation, which will reduce bureaucratic customs procedures that delay trade and that cause countries to lose money that they could actually be gaining had they had better customs procedures in place. So there will be many other sectors of the negotiation that will be beneficial to them. But agriculture, the topic of this meeting, is certainly at the forefront. To combine agricultural and climate policy, I think the most urgent task at hand is to allow international trade to function properly. Right now, what we're seeing is this. Because of climate change, some countries get hit by sudden droughts, for example, and they can no longer provide food for themselves. Properly functioning international markets would allow countries to import the food they need when they are hit by a climate crisis. So the most urgent task at hand is to continue pushing for more open, transparent, and predictable rules for international agricultural trade, and that's why it is urgent to complete the Doha round. It's the Doha round that will allow food to travel from lands that are safe and that are still protected from the climate crisis to lands where that crisis is hitting the hardest. It is also vital in light of the climate crisis that we start paying some attention to the issue of export restrictions, on which I put the accent today at the meeting. Export restrictions have been resorted to by countries, for instance, that have been hit by drought and have suddenly banned the exportation of wheat. Those measures starve their neighbors and need to be addressed. We need to tackle those at least through simple, effective measures that would give their trading partners prior warning, for example. Now, the intersection between climate change and the Doha round also surfaces in another way. One of the issues that we're negotiating is trade liberalization in environmental goods and services, technologies that can help us combat climate change, like solar panels, windmills, how to remove the tariff and non-tariff barriers that are holding these technologies back. This is one of the most important negotiating chapters of the Doha round in light of the climate crisis, and I hope that it will see the light of day in 2011. Well, first I would say that environmental knowledge today is also in the developing world. China is certainly at the forefront of renewable technologies. China is now a world leader in renewable technologies. So I'm not sure that the relationship works in terms of technology transfer from developed to developing anymore. I think that's becoming a somewhat old paradigm today. Today, the developing world is very much a leader in many renewable technologies. And the goal now, through the Doha round, is to allow those technologies to spread from wherever they are emerging to wherever they are needed. The climate crisis is urgent to the point that we cannot afford to be constructing artificial barriers in the face of these technologies.